What's going on, y'all? It's Alex again with another Axe Effects tutorial, and today we're going to be covering the crossover module, aka Linkwitz-Reilly filter. And what this module does is, here, let me just pull it up real quick. Crossover, because there's a little picture here that can kind of describe it a little bit better. So this little box right here, it looks like a curve. It's this is the low end frequencies, and then this part right here is the high end frequencies. So what a Linkwitz-Reilly filter does is it's basically a Butterworth squared filter, where it takes the lows on one side and then it applies a filter so it drops off the levels of them when it reaches this frequency right here, and then the highs also notch off at that point too. So then you end up being able to split the low frequencies and the high frequencies into two different chunks that you can operate on individually, and that is the purpose of this. You can also do some pretty interesting things with this module as far as splitting again, because you can have two different crossover modules on the same thing. So you can have up to 3 splits. So you could have maybe 0 to 500 on one, the split ends up there. The high end goes from 500 onward, and then you can take that high end split and split that at maybe 1500, right? And then you can notch that out, and then from 1500 onward is going to be the high end for that one. So then you end up with 3 regions from 0 to 500, from 500 to 1500, and then 1500 to so on and so forth. And that's kind of what you can do with these things, but I'm going to show you how to use them and describe what each of these little buttons and knobs do. So let's jump in. So first we're going to throw on a a volume pan. We're going to do a couple of these because this is the easiest way for me to kind of demonstrate what these things actually do. And in order to kind of even further it, we're going to the first thing you're going to want to do if you want to kind of figure out what this thing is actually doing is you're going to want to take your low pans left and right, and you want to slap them all the way to the left. And you want to take your high pans left and right and slap them all the way to the right. And then this middle frequency, or this frequency right here, which is that center notch where the two filters kind of meet, that's what this thing is kind of that's what it's simulating. So the volume is going to let's see, we can take this one, put this over here, take this one, put this one over here. This is completely inefficient, but it'll have to work. And then so what we're going to do is when we bypass, we're going to mute it so you can hear exactly what's going on here. Alright, and then this one is going to be my left only, and this one is going to be my right only. The reason why we're doing that is because we want this volume, when we mute one, right, we want to only hear the other. So if we bypass this and we just left through, we'd still hear that part of the signal, right? So we don't want to hear it once it's bypassed. We want to block the rest of this off, and that's what that does. So now we're going to set our middle frequency. Let's just say 400. Okay, so first things first, let's go from top left to bottom right like I always do. So what we're doing is with the low level left and the low level right, I got some notes over here for you to take a look at, and that's basically the levels for the right side and the left side of your low frequency end. So right here is also split into left and right, but I took that all and put it to the left. So these correlate to one another, these correlate to one another. And normally, since we're usually, by default, this one's set all the way to the other end, to the right, this would be more useful. But because I'm kind of demonstrating what this thing does, you can make your own noises and tones, using these methods as you want. But I kind of want to show you how to use this thing instead of how to make a sound and not really give you any insight to what this thing does. So first off, so this thing is already set to right only. This thing is set to 400 hertz. So right now, all we're hearing is the right. Now, what's the right got for us? What does that sound like to you? That sounds to me like a whole lot of highs. And depending on where this is, it's going to notch it even further. So if I bring this up, so you hear almost no lows at all, right? And then the highs are going to be higher because that's what we're doing. So if we wanted more volume on just the highs, we could increase the high volume. Now remember this volume pan right here. Unfortunately, this is one of the few videos where I have to use a separate module in order to make this thing kind of obvious at what's going on. So don't mind that, but the crossover doesn't really work alone. So you have to use other stuff. It doesn't have any sort of tone qualities without the use of others. So let's bypass this one, slap this one on. Obviously, tons of lows, right? And that's exactly what we expect. Now, when we have both of these active, we're going to hear a normal guitar tone. Well, normal as far as, it's going to be a direct in sound. Aside from the fact that the level here is now set to 5. So that's also a cool thing that you can do, right? Is that you can adjust the balance of how much highs are coming in and how much of the signal from your highs you're going to hear. So you can all of a sudden now create a different dynamic for how your guitar tone is without really having the amp. And also, the cool thing about this is that now I can slap an amp on here, right? Slap an amp on each of these. Oh boy, this one's going to be a little bit loud, so let's just throw a tweed on here. They're both tweeds. Slap a cab on here. What's it going to get? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to default to. But right now, looks like now they're both champlifiers. Cool. So now they're both pretty much the same. I'm going to still throw this on channel A. Right? Take that away. And now, let's see what it sounds like. Now if I adjust this, right? Now we're allowing more highs in because we're shifting the the split to be lower frequencies. So then once you split that at a lower frequency, all of a sudden more highs are allowed in. So you've got basically this certain width, right? From this part right here, as long as it's on 1, you get 40 to 800. So wherever you split that, and remember a guitar neck, basically once you get up to about the 12th fret, up here, that's roughly 900 as far as your frequency range goes. It's around 900 hertz. And so if you split this at 100, right, you're looking at very low end split. So now lows are going to be in and also a lot of highs, but the very low lows are not going to be as it's going to be split where those low lows would be. So if I turn this off, turn this one on, and then the lower I get, the higher the volume will get. But then also, if I split this even further, now the left-hand side, all you've got is from 0 to 40, which is nothing. You don't get much at all. So you get up higher, get up to 200, these all of a sudden become more present. But then because I'm only playing the lows right now, you're not going to hear much highs. If I swap this over to here, now you're going to hear the highs. And that's how this thing works. You've got a band, and wherever you set that frequency at, it's going to split it off there. So for say this is 0 to 800, right now we got it at 200. So we've got this part split. So the lows are only going to be you're going to split that at 0 to 200, and you don't hear 0 to 40 or so. So you've got like 40 to 100 or to 200. You've got like 160 hertz worth of band right here, and then you've got 200 to as far as it goes. But you've also got to remember each note that you play is going to have harmonics associated with it. I could show you that a little bit here too. So, real-time analyzer. I'll slap that down here for a second. So, let's just do it all the way down real quick. Right. We're getting all those lows. I'll just play the same chord so it's consistent for you. We're going to get all that right here. Now I play some highs. Not too much. The highs are very low. But you slap that sucker up here, turn that on, now the lows, almost nothing, right? That's the point of it. This is a shorter video than most of the others because this is a relatively small, but it can be very kind of detail-oriented as far as a module goes. Now, one tip I'll mention to you is that these channels can be tinkered with individually, right? So now you've got this amp on the lows and this amp on the highs. You can boost the highs and the lows separately. So per se, you want the drive to be super high up here, right? So now when you're playing the lows, actually this is actually way too high. So. But you're going to end up with a lot more low-end distortion. So tinker with that as you will. Apologize if that was a little bit bassy there for a second, but it's just for demonstration. So until the next time, let's see what we got next. We got delay. That's going to be the next module I cover. That one might take me a little bit longer to put something together because that one's a heck of a lot more crazy. A lot more to going on in there. So if you liked it, throw a like. Subscribe if you wish. If not, well, leave me some feedback so I can improve better, and maybe I'll have you back later on. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Catch you on the flippy floppy.